Legends, today I'm not only gonna show you a build, I'm gonna tell you a story how the Blood Knight broke the highest damage that my account ever did. For the past months, the wizard has been the top dog, where he reached to the 947 million damage with a spammy build. It took a lot of min-maxing and it was absolutely crazy, but now we have the Blood Knight with the new Inferno 9 instances that it is doing a lot of damage. So in the past days, I shared with you this build that I still use, for example, for a few raids and also especially in challenge rifts, because I really like the Shadow's Edge. It does a lot of damage and you have the range so you can kite the mobs. And we were able to go from the 400 million to the 800 million damage. But many of you guys were asking, hey Indez, can you please do an Abomination build so we can go and actually spam into the dungeons? And that's what I did. I've been spamming a lot of hours in front of the training dummy to find out what is the highest DPS build for the Abomination, and let me tell you, something good came out of it. I also want to give a big shout out to all the Blood Knights in the Blood Knights Discord channels that they helped me out to understand, to figure it out a bit better how the Blood Knight works. Blood Knight, it is not my main, so I needed to understand in the mechanics, the details, and how can everything synergize with each other to be able to accomplish this. So I'm gonna show you every single detail so you guys can replicate on your account and you are also able to go and push your Blood Knight damage to the next level. So as you can see, we hit the 550 million damage in the 30 seconds mark, and we're not only gonna break the record by 20 million, not 50 million, we're actually gonna break the record of our previous build by 150 million. So we're gonna be able to reach to the 954 million damage. So let me see if I'm gonna be able to stop. We're gonna stop here. Look at it, 948, 949, 51 and 54 million. This is a lot of damage. I am so close to actually go and break the 1 billion. I can't wait, man. And I'm gonna share with you every single detail, guys, so please pay attention to this, because well, it took a lot of work and every single detail will matter for you guys to make it happen. So let's start here, obviously, with the skills. The Shroud of the Night is gonna be a huge damage source. The Whirling Strike with the new instance, it is absolutely insane. The Mephitic Cloud, mega boost when it comes to the damage, and also the Abomination. And we're also gonna use the Ravage to apply a few bleeds. So now let's go here to where the magic happened. This is the point that a lot of Blood Knights, they were testing a lot of builds, and maybe it changed a bit between your accounts, but for me, this was the absolutely goated combinations that it took that next level on the Blood Knight. So let's start here with a headpiece. It is the Blood Frenzy, which is gonna apply a Mephitic Cloud that's gonna increase your movement speed, but also your attack speed whenever you're gonna inflict the bleeds whenever you are on top of it. So you're just gonna put the Mephitic Cloud, and whenever you're gonna put your Whirling Strike and you're gonna apply the bleeds, you're gonna see that you're gonna have this Frenzy, Blood Frenzy buff with you. And the good thing about being a buff is that even after the cloud it is gone, you're still gonna have it. So that's gonna help you a lot to maintain the Blood Frenzy buff at 100% uptime. Then we're gonna use the layering aims. This one, for some reason, it is the one that he actually did a lot more damage than the other ones, than the Influencer, than the Moon Rate, and all of these things. The Shroud of the Night is gonna empower you and also your nearby allies, so it's also very good for the party, and causing that your primary attacks will now mark and expose once you reach the 5 stacks. So you're gonna attack 5 times and you're gonna create this extra explosion, which is gonna help with the added damage. These shoulders here are insane. So the Abomination no longer is gonna consume the anger, but now it's gonna start your primary attacks to consume your life, and they're gonna start throwing like these gore globes to the enemies. It's gonna help a lot with the damage, with that extra damage. Then you're gonna have here the pants, man. The pants slot was the one that was really hard to actually find out a consensus between the Blood Knights. For me, the Chimeric favor was the ones that actually did the highest damage, because whenever you actually gonna go into the Abomination and you're gonna click on these illusions, you're gonna spawn like these clones, and as you can see, you can have up to 2 clones that they're gonna start attacking the target, and they're gonna start attacking with the primary attacks as well, which is gonna be able to boost them with the attack speed that I'm gonna show you from the set items and all of these things. Now let's go here into the Increasing Silence, where the Ravage is just gonna apply a little damage, but I'm gonna show you the rotation because you're not gonna use the Ravage a lot in this build, but sometimes whenever you're going in and out of the Abomination, if you still attack it, well, you're gonna leave the bleed. Then we're gonna use the 5-finger spear. The Wielding Strike now is gonna become a buff, and this buff, it is gonna make that your primary attack is gonna have this Arc of Blood, which is gonna still give you like this range, and it is just like super cool, man, because the Abomination, as you guys know, it is quite melee, but because of this, you now are able to just attack it and do your primary attacks from the long range, which is quite nice, very hard to replace. And here as well on the offense, I found that this was the best combination. The Rose Tool, the primary attacks from the Abomination, they have a 10% chance of creating this additional damage. If your HP drops lower, you can increase to 30%, but it's very hard because you have the lifesteal and you do a lot of damage in PvE. You're never gonna be able to almost go to low HP, but the 10%, you may look at it as like something very low, but it's not. Like in Diablo Immortal, you do so much damage in such short a period of time, you're gonna spam these all the time. Also, it's gonna increase the damage of your Abomination. And the other one, it is the Grim Horn, that the longer you are near the target, the more damage you're gonna do, up to 38% damage. So this is very good for bosses and those kind of things, and also increases 10% of your Abomination damage, and all of your damage comes from the Abomination, which is really good. Now here for the set items, this is where you guys gonna find a very interesting combination. I found out that what it worked the best for me was the 4 pieces Shal'baas, 2 pieces Barons, and also 2 pieces Vithu. I'm gonna explain you why. The first thing is that the Shal'baas is gonna increase your primary attack damage by 15%, so it is easy. Most of your damage is gonna be primary attack, but we mainly are looking for this 25% increased attack speed for not only yourself, but also for the clones that you're gonna spawn with you. So very strong. Then we're gonna use the 2 pieces Barons, and this might be like, why is he using like 2 pieces Barons? Well, because you are using a lot of bleeds, a lot of burns, and above all, I am using the Hunt Coil, okay? The Hunt Coil, it is a debuff that's gonna apply on the target that increases my damage at rank 4 by 28%. And whenever I change this to increase the Hunt Coil and any single harmful effect by 30%, it just made my damage go through the roof. I think I gained, just by this small change, like 80 or 100 million damage. Then the last one is gonna be the 2 pieces Vithu, which is gonna increase the duration of my beneficial effects, so my buffs and also my legendary gems buffs by 30%. And as you guys can see, I am not using the attack speed at 30% because the Mephitic Cloud, it is already giving like so much attack speed that I was actually going above the cap, and it was actually not really necessary. So now let's go here into the legendary gem setup. If you don't have any of these gem setup, I'm gonna show you the alternatives, but I'm gonna explain you my decisions. First, it is the Mother's Lament. It's gonna increase our critical hit chance by 24%. Crit is king, as you know. Then we are using the Berserker Eye, 16% damage all the time and 2% more crit. I mean, it is a no-brainer, this one. The Hunt Coil, which is gonna not only apply the damage increase by 28%, but also is gonna create this additional damage on the target that's just gonna keep blasting, and it's gonna be very good. It's a very, like, all of these additional damage at the end of the day, they make a lot of difference. Then you also have the Gloom Cask. I'm gonna explain something about the Gloom Cask. For this, not only is gonna have like these blades attacking the target, right, whenever you do, but the biggest value that comes from it, it comes whenever you actually have a lot of attack speed, okay? The higher your attack speed is, the faster you're gonna attack, so the more blades you're gonna use, so the more damage you're gonna get from this, okay? If you have very poor attack speed, the value that you get from the Gloom Cask will be very lower, but also whenever you hit a target with the blades, it's gonna increase your primary attack by 6%. The other one, it is gonna be the Rolling Consequence. It's gonna increase your crit apply burn, and whenever they are burning, they also gonna have this increased chance of critting. The Colossus increased damage by 27%. Then you have the Blood-Soaked Jade, increased damage by 13% and movement speed. I could replace this for maybe a Fervent's Fang and probably even get like higher damage, but I just want to go like with something a bit more realistic, because I'm never gonna really change out the Blood-Soaked Jade. Probably I could do it just for the sake of reaching to 1 billion, but I'm gonna do it in a way that I feel like it is more realistic. The other one, it is gonna be the Blood Flow, and the Blood Flow, it is perfect for the Blood Knight and also the Barbarian because it applies a lot of bleeds. So you're gonna increase your damage, your critical hit strike, and also your critical hit chance whenever the target is gonna have the bleed up to 8% at rank 5, and like that, it's just free critical hit damage. So very good gem, especially for Blood Knight and the Barbarian. But if you don't have enough of the gems, don't worry, I prepared for you these. There's all the gems alternatives that I think they are the best, from the 5 stars, the Wolf Heart, Portal Hope, and Void Spark. But you also have here these 2 stars and 1 star that they gonna work perfectly fine. Spectral Glass, Pain Class, Fervent's Fang. If you have the Morn Skull or the Crimson, they are limited gems, but they still work. And on the 1 stars, you have, for example, the Carson, that's gonna increase your primary attack. You have the Surging Sea, that's gonna increase a lot of your damage because you're gonna be spamming all the time these abilities on the Abomination. And like that, if you have any of the gems and you don't have any of like these 5 stars that I'm using, you can use that as a replacement, and I hope that's going to be very useful for you. Now let's go here into the secondary stats, okay? Well, in PvE, all you need, it is going to be armor penetration, because it's going to increase your critical hit damage, and the potency to increase your harmful effects that you're using. Crit is king, so if you can actually bump your crit, the way you get crit is on your head slot, on your shoulders, and all of your weapons, they should always have crit hit chance. Also, of course, there is other sources, for example, here with the legendary rune Zoo on your offend. I know it is hard, but it is actually like such a great rune because you can get 8% when it comes to it. Then you have here the crit hit damage. The crit hit damage only makes sense if you have high crit and also, for example, double crit gems, so Mother's Lament and also Run the Consequence, so your crit is gonna be always close at least 100%. The attack speed, it is gonna be very important. Have between like 15 or 20% attack speed, it is really nice. And then 20% cooldown, so you can have together with the 10% cooldown that you get here from the Mephitic Cloud Awaken, you get that 30%, and like that you're gonna be able to have your Mephitic Cloud at 100% uptime and have all that attack speed bumping all the time, which is gonna be really nice. There is, however, also because we are using the Shroud of Night, you can use as well 1 out of 4 Shroud of the Night, so 4 out of 4. I know a lot of you guys have. It's gonna be useful, but I can tell you that it's actually not like a make it or break it. You don't really need to, because your attack speed, it is already so high that, you know, it's gonna cap at 100%. So if you already get 50 from the helmet, according to some people that tested it, then you get here 25% from your primary attack speed. Then I have almost 20% base. I only needed 8% more to be very close to that cap of 100%. So that's how I made my math, and that's how it's actually working for me. Now let's go here into the Paragon. This is the absolutely goated Paragon. Find out that it was the one that gave me the highest damage. Unseen Dynamis together with the Gifted, and then the Bloodthirst, the Fury, and as well the Superiority to increase the damage and the crit that you get. And for the legendary skills, man, I went back and forward on this. I tried to figure out exactly which one was the best. But I found out from all my testing that this release most likely will work slightly better when it comes like to the dungeons, when you have like a pack of mobs. But if you want like that higher single target damage, the Overloaded will definitely be the one that it is gonna outperform the other, but just by a small margin. It's not a huge deal breaker if you want to use one or the other, but this is the way I tested the Slayer. The Slayer always downperformed compared like to the Slinger. This is absolutely, in my case, the one that is giving me more damage, because I already have a lot of attack speed, so I actually don't need these. But if you're someone starting out and you also need like that extra attack speed because your account doesn't have, well, maybe try also this Paragon Slayer. Maybe it's gonna be helpful for you. Now let's go into familiar. I want you guys to say hi Tony in the chat, because you know, you guys know that Tony has been with us for a while now, and the only thing that you should care when it comes to your pet in PvE is that if he's gonna have the lingering wounds, because the lingering wounds will definitely help you out to increase the damage that you're gonna do. So in this case, it's gonna apply armor breaker. Mine has 198. It's gonna increase my damage by 38.2% for 3 seconds, which is gonna be increased by the burn, and that's why you like to have, for example, a brand talent or a screed, right? Both of these ones are very good because they apply damage over time, and whenever the damage over time it is being applied, so as well the lingering wounds, which is gonna extend. It is very good, and if you also use the 2 pieces Barons is also gonna get increased, so you get a lot of benefit from having a pet with lingering wounds. But if you don't, well, and if you have survivability issues, even though you're playing with Abomination, well, you can always slot in a survivor pet, and like that you're just gonna be more chill while farming because you have like cheat dead, but you shouldn't have any survivability problem when it comes to this build. Now let's go here into the runes. These are only gonna name here a few. The first one is gonna be the Seared. The Seared has a special affix that is gonna, whenever you're gonna kill a mob, he has a chance of exploding and dealing 100% of the maximum damage, so it's just gonna explode the pack. It is pretty awesome. Then here under your runes, you can also go with the oath if you have it, but if you don't worry about it. You can always use the Tiered. Both of them work pretty fine. It's very equal. Then you have, of course, here on the main hand, you're gonna have the Fa or the Lev. Both of these are quite essential because if you read here, your primary attacks will now have a chance of 6%, both of them is going to be 12%, to apply a reduced attack and movement speed on the target. And this, it is a shield effect, and you need this shield effect to actually go and give you a big damage boost when it comes to damage to enemies suffering loss of control. So loss of control comes from the shields, it comes from like slows, fears, whatever, anything that is loss of control, and you apply on the target. Yes, it does not apply on the bosses, but it applies on everything else. So as you can see here, I got 7.5% on my main hands. I have 10% here on the other main hand. I got 10% here, and I got 7.5% here, and I got 10 more percent here on my gloves. So in an ideal world, I will have 50% more damage against enemies suffering loss of control just because I'm applying the shield, and like that you're gonna be able to do a lot of damage. For the cursed items, we are using the 6 pieces detested, which is gonna apply a dark void below them, and like that you're gonna have your damage increased by 12%. And you see how these like damage abilities, they start stacking with each other, which is great. Then the other one, it is 2 pieces a trophy, which is also gonna apply a dark void. But if you don't want, you can go, for example, with the 6 pieces lash that also should work. Anything that will boost your damage pretty much is gonna be fine. The other thing when it comes to the charm, I don't have a good charm, but all I did was I just put the highest damage source that I do, which is the Abomination. So like that I'm getting 2% more damage out of the Abomination. It is not much, but it will definitely help. Also, let's show you here what are my Reforge sets. Like, these are the ones that have been the meta for a while when it comes to PvE. So first you have, once again, the damage of enemies suffering from loss of control. This can go from 2.5 to 5%. It is really hard for the, a free-to-play or a low spender to, min-max these reforges, but you can get like literally up to 40% if you have the 5% in all of them. Then you also have damage to demons. It can go from 3% to 6%. Once again, in most of the mobs inside Diablo Immortal, they are demons, so because of that, you're gonna be able to do 48% more damage, especially the bosses. All the bosses, they are demons. Then you have here the attack speed. This can go from 1.5% to 3%. The duration of beneficial effects, which is going to extend your buffs from 1.5 to 3% as well. And then you have the critical hit damage that can go as well to 3%. So if I was a whale and I have this mid-max and I see so many people spending a lot of money on their gems, and I'm gonna tell you, man, min-max your reforges, because like that you're gonna be able to have such a huge damage boost in PvE. Obviously it's gonna be costly, but it's gonna be worth in the long term. So to finalize, I'm gonna show you guys the legacy of Horadrim, I'm using the fortitude and willpower only because I want to increase my secondaries for the armor penetration and the harmful effects. And the other one, it is going to be the legacy of Horadrim, which is also going to be focused on the potency and resistance for me because I have very high armor penetration. But if you are starting the game or you don't have as much armor penetration, focus mainly on the yellow, red, and the purple one. And if you have some leftovers, you can put here on the black, the blue, and also the orange one. So the last thing to show you is exactly how you're going to be able to do a lot of damage with the rotation of this build. So imagine that you are in front of the packs or in front of the mobs. This is how you're actually going to be able to mid-max your damage output. So first, whenever imagine you are joining the raid and you see the boss, you want to go with your defensive stance. And before you actually engage on the boss, you want to buff up, you want to change your stance, and then you want to change to Abomination. So you see, I got my buffs, I changed the stance, because whenever you change the stance, you're gonna have this 20% critical hit chance on your skills for free, and afterwards it's gonna drop to 10%, so like free critical hit chance on your skills. 10%, it is really good. And afterwards you want to change to Abomination, and you're just gonna spam the first skill, which is gonna spawn the clones. So that's what I did. Then you're gonna start here, we're gonna use the first skill around like 4 times, and afterwards you actually want to get out of Abomination, rebuff, and go back in again. Okay, the reason why you actually need to wait 4 times is because you want to wait before like the Abomination goes out around like a second and a half. It is very important that you wait that, because you don't want to get out of your Abomination form and then you're gonna stick in the human form, because you're not gonna be able to do a lot of damage. So it is the same concept as the Druid. You're gonna see I buff up, I go back to it, and like this I'm able to keep up my damage. The rotation, it is very simple. Once you start, you know, understanding this, you're gonna be able to do this really fast. Obviously, these things maybe are easier to do, for example, with a controller or even on a PC, but it is also very easy to do it on a mobile, because honestly, you just have like it's mainly a primary attack build, and like that, you're gonna be able to do a lot of damage. So guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed the build, because, man, records like these you don't break every day, and I am so stoked that we're actually able to do it here with the Blood Knight. So please go into the dungeons, go into the raids. You're gonna be able to do a lot of damage. Tomorrow I'm gonna share with you guys what is my farming build and my speed farming build for the dungeon, the one that I just run with it and everything just dies, but it doesn't do as much damage or even close as this, but it's just mainly focused for AoE damage and for you to actually just be able to farm a big pack of mobs, boys. Don't forget to actually go and type cheese in the comments so I know that you're still here. And I know that you are the legend that still watches the guys until the end. I put a lot of effort on this. I share with you all the details because I know it is important. I wish that whenever I was starting out, we also had guys like this, a bit more detail, so you understand fully how should you actually build your character to do a lot of damage. And so, legends, if you guys enjoyed this PvE build, well, go watch this next video, which is the PvP build that I've been demolishing in Battleground. Peace.